What's up? Have you ever heard the phrase follow your passion? Bro, following your passion, this is one of the most useless, most damaging pieces of advice ever given to a young person. Like, you've heard it in your whole life. Follow your passion, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Find your passion and everything else will fall into place. Sounds beautiful, inspiring, and completely, absolutely, dangerously wrong. Because two reasons, and I want you to actually think about both of these. Reason number one: following your passion is the perfect excuse for lazy people to stay lazy. And I say that because I was one of them. I use it for myself for years. I was passionate about playing on PC, so I played 5 hours a day and I call it purpose. I was into solving Rubik's cubes, so I spent time on that and told myself I was following my passion. I had 100 little interests that I used as a justification to avoid doing anything that actually mattered, because here's how the logic works in a lazy person's mind. And be honest with yourself if this sounds familiar. I just haven't found my passion yet, and once I find it, everything will click. The work will feel easy, the motivation will be there, and I just need to find the right thing. And so you spend years drifting, trying things for 2 weeks and dropping them, waiting for the feeling that tells you this is it, this is my passion, now I can commit. The feeling never comes, or if it does, it lasts about 1 month before it fades, and then you're back to drifting. And that's the first reason. It gives lazy people a narrative that makes laziness sound like a wisdom. Now the second reason, one of the most important, the phrase follow your passion implies that if you're truly passionate about something, the hard moments won't exist. You know, that passion will carry you through, that motivation will always be there because you love what you're doing. And that is completely a lie. It doesn't matter what domain you chose, it doesn't matter what skill you decide to build, it doesn't matter whether you picked it because of passion or logic or necessity or desperation. There will be periods of boredom, periods where you're tired and you don't want to show up. There will be grinding seasons where nothing feels exciting, nothing feels rewarding, and every part of you wants to stop. Every single domain, no exceptions. And what does follow your passion tell you to do when those moments arrive? Nothing, because according to the passion philosophy, those moments should not exist. And if they do, it must mean this isn't really your passion. Maybe you should go find something else. And so, because of that, you quit and you start looking again, and the cycle continues. And this is a trap, my friend, and most people never escape it. And let me tell you something from my experience. That was like 8 months ago. I made a decision. I was tired, genuinely tired of being the skinniest person in every room I walked into, tired of being physically dismissed, of knowing that my body was something I was embarrassed about rather than something I'd built. And I had like maybe 58 kilograms, 60 somewhere. So I committed to the gym for real this time. But here's the thing, this wasn't my first attempt. Back in 9th grade, so I went to the gym for about 2 weeks. Felt kind of good, then one day I didn't feel like going, so I didn't. And then the next day and the next, and within a month, and I had completely stopped. Zero results, zero progress. And a few months later I tried again, 2 days, and quit. Every single time the moment the motivation faded, that was the moment it stopped feeling exciting. So I stopped because I was operating on the passion model. I was going when I felt like it, and when I didn't feel like it, I had the built-in excuse, maybe this just isn't for me. And 8 months ago something shifted. I stopped asking whether I felt like it, and I started going because I decided to, full stop. And I want you to understand what that actually looked like, because most people make this sound cleaner than it is. I went from 60 kilograms to somewhere 75, 76. And that sounds like isn't something wow. I mean, it kinda is, but let me tell you what was inside that kind of success. There were days I did not want to be in that gym. Days I was exhausted, days I was sore, days where every set felt like punishment. But I went anyway. And the eating, do you think eating to gain weight ate is fun? Do you think I was passionate about stuffing food into my body until my stomach was screaming? I was eating a mouse that made me feel sick, genuinely sick. My body was not used to it, it hurt. There were so many times I was eating and already feeling like I needed to stop, and I kept going because the goal required it. And then, about a month ago, this is the part that stays with me, I got severe diarrhea from eating that much. I felt like the last human being on earth, something like that. I was done, my body was completely wrecked. And after a few days, guess what? When the pain had lowered just enough, I went back. Not because I was passionate, not because I woke up that morning feeling motivated and energized and excited to train, but because I had decided, and the decision doesn't expire when the feeling does. That is the difference between passion and dedication. Passion is conditional, it shows up when conditions are comfortable and disappears when they are not. And dedication is unconditional, it doesn't negotiate with your mood. And the result, as I said, from 58 kilograms to 76 today. And I'm not done, this is barely the beginning, because that's another thing about real dedication. Once you hit a goal, you don't stop, you recalibrate and keep going, because by that point you've proven something to yourself that you can't unknown that. The fact that you are capable of more than you thought. And there is something else nobody talks about when they tell you to follow your passion. Like, what do you do in the beginning when you're terrible at something, when results are nowhere to be seen, when every day feels like you're putting in work for nothing, because that period exists in everything. Like, you start going to the gym, 2 months in, do you look something like someone impressive? No, you look basically the same as when you started, with slightly sore muscles and a lot of questions about whether this is working. Or you start a business for months, maybe years, you work and nothing comes back, no profit, no traction, no sign that any of it is going anywhere. You start a contact sport. Like, for the first 2 months, everyone in that gym beats the fuck out of you. Everyone, because they have experience and you have none. Every session is a lesson in how much you don't know yet. And this is exactly where the passion philosophy destroys people, because when you are 2 months in and you're not seeing results, the passion narrative gives you an exit. Maybe I'm not talented enough for this, maybe this isn't my thing, maybe I just haven't found my real passion yet. And I heard that. And you walk away right before I will have started working, it will have. And what you need instead, and I want you to actually sit with this word, is faith. Not blind optimism, not delusion, but a clear, grounded belief in the following truth. If you show up every day consistently and you do the work correctly, the results are mathematically inevitable. And there is no human being on this planet who goes to the gym every single day, eats properly, and stays consistent, and does not eventually build a body they are proud of. This is physically impossible for that not to work. The biology doesn't have a choice. The same logic applies to any skill, any domain, any goal worth having. And the results are not the question, the results are guaranteed, given enough time and enough consistency. And the only question is whether you will still be there when they arrive. So, when you're 2 months into something and you feel like you have nothing to show for it, that is not a sign to stop, man. That is a sign that you are exactly where everyone who eventually succeeds has been, right in the middle of the period that filters out everyone who was only there because of the feeling. Stay, work even harder, believe that is coming, not because someone told you a motivational quote like me, but because the logic of consistency demands it. I was 58 kilograms, I told myself I wanted at least 17, now I'm 76. And I didn't get there because every day felt good. I got there because I refused to let the bad days be the ones that made the decision. So if the passion is not the answer, then what is the answer? Well, there are two things and they work together. The first one is not feeling, not inspiration, not the discovery of your one true passion. It's a decision. You look at what you want your life to look like. You look at what building that life requires, and you decide, I'm going to do that thing consistently regardless of how I feel about it on any given day. day, and that's it. That's the whole foundation. The gym doesn't care if you feel motivated, the business doesn't care if you're inspired, the skill doesn't care if you're in the mood to practice. They respond to showing up, period. And the second is dedication over time, because the decision alone means nothing if you make it once and then renegotiate every time things get hard. Dedication means the decision holds. It holds on the boring days, it holds on the days you're tired, it holds on the days you've been going for 3 months and still can't see the results yet. And here's what nobody tells you about what happens on the other side of that. When you push through a grind period, when you're tired and bored, you don't feel like it and you go anyway, you work harder than before, something shifts afterward, the fog lifts and the energy comes back and you work better than you have in weeks, because you proved yourself that you're not someone who stops when it gets uncomfortable. That proof compounds. Every time you do it, the next time becomes slightly easier. Not because the work gets easier, but because your belief in your own ability to handle it gets stronger. And that is what passion could never give you, because passion is born from the outside, dedication is built from the inside. So let me say it one more time clearly. Following your passion is a beautiful idea that keeps mediocre people comfortable and stops hungry people from ever reaching what they actually are capable of. And the real path is uglier, less poetic. Nobody is going to put in a motivational poster. You decide, you dedicate, you show up when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. You have faith in the math of consistency. You stay long enough to collect what of that work is always going to produce, and that's it. Stop waiting to feel it and start deciding to do it. So yeah, I hope I could make your life at least 1% better, and yeah man, see you next time.